story you tell appears it is genuine, it comes from within. That's what matters, right? The genuineness connects. Am I learning every day in what I'm doing? Am I becoming a better version of what I was doing? Am I doing different things? Whatever works for you, in my view. And you see role models, and if you have role models in your life, they influence you a lot in your deciding parameters. But with today, so much of information overload, I think the choices are more visible.
Hey there, welcome to Marketing Mavericks with IndieFolio. Today we have Sandeep Juneja with us, who's the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at DHL. Sandeep's career spans over 2 decades, where he spent almost 20 years in DHL. I'm excited to unpack his journey and learn a lot about his experience and stint on marketing a logistics company to brands and consumers in India. Hey Sandeep, thanks for your time and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm so excited to host you. I'm sure you have a busy schedule, and I'm really glad that you managed to give me a slot on a Thursday. The first question, Sandeep, I usually ask all my guests is about how you actually got into marketing. If I'm not wrong, you did BTech and engineering, and after 5, 6 years, you decided to do an MBA in marketing. So, where is it that you decided that marketing is your calling?
Well, I'm from a college called School of Mines Dhanbad. It's now called IIT Dhanbad. I think in my, obviously everybody goes to an engineering college in their formative years. And so did I. And I got all sorts of galis from my friends. But I think some of the better people around the country come to institutes like this. And that is what helps shape your views, shape your opinion, and gives you life learning, so to say, and lifelong friends also, for that matter. So I think I'm a very proud mining engineer, and but as you know, life has it, and I'll be honest about that. I'm not sure that you make the best choices when you're moving around in your career subsequently. But one thing I'm sure about that, whatever choices I made, I gave my best to those choices, right? So, and fortunately, looking back, some of them have worked for me well. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, whether I'm at work in my office on my desk, like I'm talking to you right now, whether I'm in a meeting with my colleagues, or I'm playing tennis, back at home early morning, or I'm with my family, the choice that I make, that I'm always fully engaged in whatever I'm doing. I'm in a meeting, I'm always fully engaged. I'm present in the moment, and fully enjoying every moment. I think that is what keeps me running. And as long as the right inputs are going in, I think the outputs take care of themselves.
The reason I asked you this question is because when I talk to a bunch of my friends, they're also in a similar place in their careers where maybe they've learned one thing, but their interests are elsewhere, and they find it incredibly hard and challenging to take that leap, saying will I be able to do it? I spent 5 years doing something. Now I'm going to restart. I'll be not ahead of the game, and everybody else will be ahead of me. How did you kind of combat those thoughts way back in the 80s and 90s when you were doing that?
90s, yes. 90s, yes. But I mean, to be honest, I maybe with the new generation today, I'm not. I'm choosing my words carefully. I'm as young as anybody else. I'm always learning. The new generation today, maybe they are more clear about the choices that they have. And in today's world of internet, I know that, I utter a word, and by evening, my elder daughter is an expert on that word because, she's researched on it. And suddenly you feel, oh, did I tell her this, or she's telling me what she's telling me? But the point is that on many occasions in my life, I've though with so much of data and analytics, you're not sure at all times, more so in your career choices. But as you progress, early on, more so early on, but as you progress in life, you start seeing a road, and you start seeing, what, this road is branching into five more roads, and therefore, which is the one that I want to choose. And you see role models, and if you have role models in your life, they influence you a lot in your deciding parameters. But with today, so much of information overload, I think the choices are more visible, they're more clear, and therefore the people are not as blindsided anymore. Is what I'd like to believe. But people do engineering, people don't do engineering, people do MBA, people do this, people do that. But everybody does well in their life some way or the other, right? You meet them 15, 20 years down the line, they've traveled different roads. But as long as I said earlier, as long as they do these things meaningfully, As long as they're adding value back to themselves on what they do on a daily basis, and you find enjoyment in what you do, right? There is challenge and nuance in every business, every profession, what you are doing, what I am doing. But are we living that? Or are we always looking for greener pastures? Is the divide in our mind, in my view. So yeah, as pick make the best choice, but more importantly, make the best of the choice that you make. Right. So I think that's how it is.
Superb. No, very well put. Uh, to take this ahead, talking about choosing greener pastures all the time. When I open Instagram, there's a lot of advice on reels, telling a lot of youngsters that the only sure shot way to succeed is to hop jobs, work in a company for a year and a half, go to the next job, go to the next job. That's how you'll get your increment. And you've spent 2 decades in DHL, and you've grown from various roles to now having the top job in the company. So what's your take on this particular aspect? And if you had to tell people what's the advantage of staying in one company and seeing it through, what would you have to say?
So listen, I'm not sure. There was a point in time where I've argued on and I've drawn curves on the whiteboard saying if you jump jobs, what happens to your career growth? Let's take a span of 15 years and see. That is when it really matters. So after 15 years, you've jumped 4 jobs. Where do you reach? Versus compare with people who've not jumped jobs. Where do they reach? But I'm not sure the difference is too much, really. And one can often debate on whether by sticking around you get more depth, maybe lesser breadth, but by jumping around you get lesser depth. But I think these are really, one can debate on either side. So I wouldn't cast my vote on whatever works for you, in my view. And therefore, somewhere linked to what I said, am I learning every day in what I'm doing? Am I becoming a better version of what I was doing? Am I doing different things? And whether it's not a debate whether you're the smartest guy or not, a fact is you can learn from everybody around you. And therefore, if you're becoming a better version, the fact is that you are growing, and if you're growing, opportunity will find its way to you at all times. And therefore, in the long run, I'm a happy man, I look back, I'm very content on the quality of work I do, on the richness of my job, on the richness of, on the quality of people I work with. And it's not possible that that you get so much of quality around you if you're not progressing, if you're not in the right environment, if you're not happy, if you're not keeping people happy around you, the people who work around you. So I think there's no perfect formula that I'll sort of put my vote on. The perfect formula is you. The way you grow, the way you learn, the way you make best of the opportunities around you. And sometimes you don't see them, but they're all around you, right? So I think that is what one should focus on becoming a better version of yourself. And the balance things take care of themselves.
One more thing I would like to ask you is, what do you think should be the first job a young marketer should get their hands on today? I ask you this because I know you're currently handling sales and marketing, and a lot of people say that do a sales job. If you really want to be a good marketer, do you agree with that?
So, when we go and hire young MBAs from college, majority of them want to do a marketing job. Fact of the matter is that for you to do any job, you have to be connected to business, right? And I used to use a Hindi word earlier with some of my colleagues, and this just came out of me. So I used to say that मिट्टी की खुशबू होनी चाहिए. So I found the right English word for it, which is petrichor, right? Petrichor means the smell of the mud after rains, and that's on the khushbu of mitti, which should come from us, right? And that'll only come from us if we're living our business. That'll only come from us if we're living our customers, who work for us. And therefore, if we're living these two things, then we can find true meaning to connect what we do with our customers and with our business. So I think that is the key. And therefore, if you want to be a successful anything, let's stick to successful marketer, unless you are learning from what is happening in your business really, what is happening on the operations floor, what is happening in customer service, what is happening in finance, etc., and what is happening at your customer's place. How will you be able to connect the whole proposition when you carry your brand to the customer? But these things, they don't come like this, say, let me join a fancy office in marketing and I'll meet the digital agencies and I'll, meet the ad agency and then I'll be able to connect and I'll make some visits in the field. It doesn't work like that, right? So you have to live it. So maybe, if you, I'm not saying started in a sales job or started an ops job or whatever, but live these things. And therefore, it helps you go faster on the learning curve. And any word you say, any story you tell appears it is genuine. It comes from within. That's what matters, right? The genuineness connects, and the genuineness of the brand promise you're selling, the genuineness of the programs you're running. Once they start connecting internally and externally, they become more impactful, and that is a footprint that you want to leave on anything you do, which is your genuineness, right? So yeah, so that's. I hope that gives you the answer that you were looking for.
No, I think very well put once again. I want to now jump into the dual role of sales and marketing a little bit, Sandeep. So, I know that when you look at DHL, they sell to me as a customer and individual. You also work with enterprise solutions. You also work in large B2B contracts, right? So, I wanted to know how do you balance your time, and how does marketing influence those deals, right? I understand that consumer-led, products marketing will have a big thing to do, but does marketing also influence the kind of enterprise contracts you sign on a day-to-day basis?
Majority of my formative years were in sales. And over a period of time, I became a consumer of marketing because, as I became head of sales at DHL, I was consuming marketing. And but nevertheless, there were two standalone functions. But over a period of time, the two functions came together under me. And from a consumer of marketing, I also became a provider of marketing services, right? So, therefore, in that's and just to tell you, how it sort of the bridge got formed from consumption of services. They were demanding services because they would help my business to then providing services. So I think the role that I do sort of straddles between the two, right? Which is therefore I'm able to influence more marketing decisions within DHL than I was influencing earlier. And I think within logistics, DHL is possibly one of the most marketing savvy organizations. The breadth of the work that we do, both ETL, BTL, digitally, etc., is way ahead of many, many others. I'm sure some others may also be doing well, but I think we have a good bouquet of work that we do in marketing. And from a business standpoint, we address B2C needs and we address B2B needs. Some C2C needs also, for example, and consumers doing business with consumers. So we have to influence all three, right? And therefore, there are, if and that needs careful identification of the personas that you're working with. And once you identify these personas and you identify their needs, today there are multiple mediums to reach out to these personas and talk to them meaningfully, whether it be digitally or through billboards or through my retail outlet presence, or through sponsorships that I do, or through some ATL work that I do. So there are multiple ways of talking to these personas. And the challenge, as often as you read and you practice, is identifying what consumer needs are. But as the consumers are shifting, and in our case, slightly more than we deal with so many industries, even in B2B, and there also the needs are different as you move from industry to industry. So as long as you are conscious about these principles and you are looking for consumer needs, and very importantly in today's world, where concepts of design thinking have come in, where you're also involving the consumers in understanding, hey, this is what I think your needs are. Do you really think that I have got you correctly? This is what you think I've designed for you. Do you really think it's going to help you? Because otherwise, solutions are designed back in our offices, and then you go and do testing in the market. But while you're designing solutions, can you make consumer a part of problem identification and solution design? Are these kind of concepts are making us wiser because we're learning from them, and hopefully, therefore, we are building horses for courses, right?
100%. No, I think gives a good intuition to anybody, I think, who's looking at a problem like that, right? So really, really appreciate that. I want to touch upon sustainability now. Whenever I let's just search for that on DHL, there's a lot of chatter around that. And I see that you have like initiatives like Go Green Plus. You've got sustainable aviation fuel partnership, and a bunch of things around that. Uh, do you do this because you see that maybe there's a preference for consumers now that he'll only, let's say, transact with a logistics provider who offers this? Or generally, how do you plan for such an initiative like this?
Okay, so I must admit to begin with that I'm immensely proud to work in an organization where the leadership feels that they've got to put their money where their mouth is. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. I mean, the fact of the matter is that 2023 was the warmest year since global records have been kept since 1850. It was about 1.2 degrees above the 20th century average of temperature. We know that Antarctica is losing ice mass at an average rate of 150 billion tons per year. We know that our environment is beyond polluted with over 20 million metric tons of plastic litter ending up in the environment every year. There's so much happening. You know that Delhi was voted as the most polluted city in the world for the fourth consecutive time. The environment is changing around us, and because of that, we see there is so much happening around us. And the greatest threat, and this is an important line which I'm going to say, I'm taking it from Robert Swan. He says the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. That's not happening, right? So therefore, there is a fundamental need for conducting your business. And so, who will make the changes? Charity begins at home, and as a business, you have to be responsible. We have global investors, and therefore, our shareholders want our company to be driven in a direction where we are a responsible company, and we are living the concept of responsibility. And if we have to be that, and we have to have create shareholder value, we have to invest in sustainable practices. Then globally, our customers, and I'm not putting business interests here, our customers want to deal with an organization which is a sustainable organization, not only in these practices, but the whole concept, the whole 360-degree sustainability as an organization, also principles of governance and social, right? So basis this logic, responsible organizations have to take measures on in the direction of sustainability. And over a period of time, the governments are becoming more and more, uh, um, let's say, directional on this aspect because they realize that we have to leave a safer planet for our next generation, and otherwise becoming bad year after year. And therefore, the government policies also over a period of time are helping in that direction. So I think, having said all that, let me come closer within DHL. I mean, after stating the purpose, I'll come closer to our operations. So you look at our operations, we drive vans and we have large facilities across 220 countries, which very, very large footprint. We fly our own planes, maybe 300 plus planes, all put together. Then we fly the material that we carry for our customers on thousands of commercial airlines across the world. And we build facilities. The facility where I am is a LEED certified facility. So therefore, even if I don't put on my light through the whole day till it becomes dark outside, I don't need to put on light because there's so much of natural light coming in the facility. So therefore, facilities like this, investing in solar generation, investing in EVs globally, etc. So we're doing a whole lot of things. We plant a million trees. We have a promise of planting a million trees. We end up planting more than a million trees every year globally. So having said all that, we realize that what we are doing is we are really offsetting the carbon that we are producing. So if we produce carbon, how do we offset it? By plant trees, right? And but we have to do more and more practices of insetting the so that we don't produce carbon in the first place. So you inset the whole process. This is from carbon offsetting to carbon insetting. But now what we're doing is that since 2023, have invested in grading the fuel that we use in our planes with sustainable aviation fuel. It's called SAF. So today we are for that matter, last year we were the largest buyer of sustainable aviation fuel globally as any airline, so to say. But sustainable aviation fuel actually cuts down carbon emissions big time, right? So therefore, these kind of practices are now inbuilt in the way we work. And we also see that, as we talk about sustainable aviation fuel to our customers also want to partake in that process because it's their scope 3 responsibility. Now, scope 3 meaning that if I produce something, how much carbon am I producing in my supply chain? So a lot of customers use, we are offering them a supply chain. So our customers also want to fulfill their scope 3 responsibilities. I have hundreds of customers every month in India signing up to utilize the opportunity. We call it Go Green Plus, of utilizing sustainable aviation fuel in their supply chain. So these are the kind of practices we are doing. So therefore, in that sense, we are really investing a lot in things that we believe in as an organization. And I think these things are not a choice anymore; they are an imperative. Because that is how the ecosystem, the shareholders, the governments, the customers, and responsible organizations are looking at from a sustainability standpoint. And everybody has to play in, isn't it? And unless large organizations and large countries and corporations and governments don't start playing in, it may be too little, too late.
Fantastic. I think really encouraging and exciting to hear this from you. That this is how the world's changing and what they really want to make it into a priority. Um, I want to now jump into COVID-19 and a time where I'm assuming a company like yours must be going through such a roller coaster of a ride, right? Because at one end, you have a lot of massive shortages in getting things from A to B places. At the other end, a high demand because everything had to be ordered and everything had to come home. So probably you could take a masterclass in crisis control in those times. So I wanted to kind of understand, from you in a situation like this, as a marketer in an organization like DHL, what was the outlook towards a situation like that, right? Did you use certain specific messaging, any programs, anything you did to make sure that your customers, your team members, and everybody else, all your stakeholders were confident and felt safe?
I think the big change which happened during COVID was from a big change. For instance, e-commerce became really, really big because all of us were forced to experience the process of ordering from our mobile phones or laptops to get it delivered to a house. And therefore, people who were resisting this change really had to embrace the change. So the growth of e-commerce market, whether it be cross-border or within the country, was maybe in those 12 to 18 months as much as the last 10 years. That is how the e-commerce market grew, and which they also put a lot of pressure on supply chain operators like us. So we didn't have a choice, that we will all work from home. We had to be available with the service of picking up the goods from our clients in India and connecting them across the world. Because just like e-commerce was booming within India, e-commerce was booming cross-border also. So at that time, in those from maybe 2020, there was a lull for a few months, but 21, 22, also some bits in 23, our business zoomed up. But that meant that we had to plan for people, we had to plan for facilities, we had to plan for vehicles, all under COVID environment at that time. We had to plan for belly space in the aircraft and deploy that belly space to carry the goods across the world. And we did all that at that time, maintaining sensitivities of COVID protocols in our workplace. Because our employees are also employees, and they are very important for us, and if they are the first point for us in offering our services, and they have to feel safe. So just like any other organization which was having a sort of production floor environment, we also underwent those changes. The fact that we are global and so people oriented and process oriented increases the complexity. But during all that, the marketing messages is where I think you were asking me what campaigns and messages we were running. I think the job that we had at that point was how do we communicate the requirements to our clients in a meaningful manner, because the frills of and the fun, and and I'm doing a new ad with the cricketers in Mumbai Indians team, that has its own place, and it's maybe that was providing relief to people to be at home and watching IPL happening in those seasons when IPL was happening, in sort of Dubai, May, the fair, in that controlled environment, and in India. So we did all that, yes, but I think more importantly, we were communicating key messages to our customers in a very proactive manner on what's happening around the world, what processes are changing, how can we help them do their businesses in an easy manner, and therefore making it easy for them to do business in a global environment. So as long as we were communicating those messages and not mixing it with the, so to say, bells and whistles and faff, that's what we really focused on during that time. So we did have global campaigns. This is a large global campaign. We did one everything, where everything clicks, a large global campaign because of the way e-commerce was moving on how to support our customers who were in e-commerce. So we did some of those campaigns, but at the core of it, we wanted to communicate meaningful stuff to make our customers more aware about safety practices, to make our customers more aware about how global trade was changing, and to help them, do business in an easy and safe manner.
Fantastic. I think awareness and reassurance are like the core keywords I hear, and it must be quite a challenging time because I think a company like yours would be so fundamental to so many people's lives in those time periods. I think kudos to you and the whole team for holding the fort. You mentioned Mumbai Indians, and I wanted to talk on that as well. I think you have been associated with Mumbai Indians for I believe 4 years now, and cricket pretty much, as we all know, is a religion in India, and obviously a lot of brands sponsor teams. So, what is your outlook towards, let's say, picking a team like Mumbai Indians? And if you can tell me the story about how that whole association happened, it'll be pretty exciting.
Actually, it's a proper story. If you see the properties that DHL associates with globally are global properties. So we associate with, let's say, we are a proud sponsor of Formula One. We've been associated with Manchester United. So first of all, in a global organization where you have global properties, to get an Indian property was the first leg of the story. But India being a priority market, I think we got a lot of support in developing an Indian property. But to explain a sport in a European company, well, some parts of Europe do play cricket, but then football is the number one sport there, right? So, but that we have savvy people in our organization, so therefore we landed up on cricket. So therefore, cricket being a religion in India, that's the first entry point. It's a kick-ass tournament. There's no doubt about that. It's the second most valuable league globally now. And if I was looking at the term, like we have unicorn, we have something called decacorn. I mean, IPL is a startup. Yeah. It's more than 10 billion valuation, so it's decacorn, not 1 billion, but more than 10 billion. So therefore, a completely kick-ass league sort of matter, and nobody can debate a kick-ass team, right? It's now sharing with CSK, but the maximum record of wins in IPL, and some of the gods of cricket in the team. And we just won the T20 League World Cup, and these gods who were from Mumbai Indians, you see Bumrah, Hardik Pandya, Rohit Sharma were shining stars, right? When we were winning matches in the Caribbean, in the semis and the finals, and therefore the rub off is intense. To work with such a team. So I don't think the moment we got the opportunity, it was too much of a double think. It was a natural alignment. But what makes me even more proud, I think that Mumbai Indians also feels proud to have DHL on the back of the jersey. So it's a rub off on both ways. We are also a great brand globally, and we rub off on their jersey. And then the whole thought of getting that space on the back of the jersey, just three letters. We are a very simple brand name, DHL. So just three letters. So the size of every alphabet can be bigger. There is no other brand on the back of the jersey, so it's not cluttered. And it goes very well with our philosophy of the team behind the team. Who are we really? We are making other businesses successful, right? So if somebody works with us, we are contributing in making their business, their enterprise successful, right? So it really rhymes so well with our whole concept of team behind the team, and therefore I think it was sort of everything falling into place, and it was but natural for us. And I can talk about the values, of speed, of passion, of teamwork, and a can-do attitude. I can talk about that because that is intrinsic in selecting a brand you want to work with. But I think it's a mix of all this, and it was the way God willed it. I think things happened at the right time. We are very happy and proud to associate with Mumbai Indians.
Yeah, I love the story about, the placement and how it kind of, talks about the team behind the team. Often, what people talk about in brand marketing and associations like this is, how do you attribute that to a certain metric, right? That, hey, what's the ROI for an activity like this? I was curious to know, at your organization, how do you end up, taking such calls, and what do you measure such activities by?
Um, that's always some big marketing question on the return of investment of the spends that you do. Uh, but I'll give you an answer from within, from my experience. So if you go and watch a match where Mumbai Indians is playing, especially a home match, and you go to Wankhede for that matter, Wankhede is the hub of cricket, mecca of cricket, so to say. And as you're walking by, there is a sea of people wearing, should I say Mumbai Indians jersey or should I say DHL jersey? But DHL emblazoned on their back of the jersey. Uh, it's a feeling that money can't buy. And when the brand name comes up every now and then during the match, during a home match for that matter, when the Mumbai Indians team, you see them practicing, you see them playing in the field, and the brand is so visible. And obviously, as a part of the partnership, the opportunities that Mumbai Indians management gives to us. So if you monetize everything, our return on investment is fantastic, and therefore much above the ROI that makes a property meaningful. It's much beyond that. And beyond a point, it really depends on the brand also, on how much they amplify the engagement. You know, for instance, we have opportunities where we can get our customers to go and do a coin toss along. I mean, they don't do a coin toss, but join in the coin toss when the captain of the Mumbai Indians team is doing a coin toss with the opposing team. So for our customers to stand along with them, then for our employees and customers to go and sit in the dugout during a practice match, then for the children of our customers and employees to get coached by the coaches of Mumbai Indian team. I mean, these kind of experiences money can't buy, right? So therefore,
Right.
not only around the surround sound, around how we amplify the whole partnership digitally, how they amplify the partnership in terms of the films that we shoot with the players and the good things that we say that they say about us. Not only amplify in terms of, let's say, hospitality, but these experiences that money can never buy. Who can ever imagine getting coached by the coaches of the Mumbai Indians team? So therefore, I think it's a
Right.
very 360 package that you get with such kind of elite sponsorships. And at the end of the day, how you leverage it, because everything needs efforts and nuanced work. So how you imagine, how you leverage each piece. I some There are some occasions where the players come over, 2 or 3 players come over to a city, for example, in Jaipur. We invite 300-400 of our customers. They come and join. Then they are discussing, interacting with the players. They're asking questions of, let's say, a Rohit or a Bumrah or Sky for that matter. They're playing games with them on the stage. Unimaginable. I mean, so it's not only the regular stuff, but also a lot of surround stuff around it. And at every moment, if you give a dollar value, it does take care of itself. So with a property like this, I think you have to be focused on leveraging it fully, and the ROI is not a problem.
Awesome. I think a lot of these initiatives, like you said, you can feel them, working. It may take some time for you to get that, but I've seen that as a pretty big metric of brand marketing, that you'll feel things are working long time. You also had done a very interesting initiative called Six Trees for Every Six. Could you tell us about how you ended up cracking that as well?
Yeah, so I think we are fortunate to have a brilliant marketing and PR team who come up with ideas like this. In our sustainability strategy as an organization, we have 4 Go pillars. We call them Go pillars, so it's easy to remember. One is Go Teach. The second is Go Help, because we do a lot of disaster recovery support globally, being in supply chain. The third is go trade because it's fundamental to us. We are a global trade organization. If we don't support the SMEs, MSMEs in helping them trade, so therefore go trade. We run programs on how to help them trade, go trade. And the last is go green. And I talked about Go Green in terms of sustainable aviation fuel. But a big concept of Go Green is also around, bringing green practices into our lives, our customers' life. And within that, for instance, I told you, we plant 1 million plus trees globally, more than that. And therefore, we associated that Go Green concept to this campaign. And we said that every time a Mumbai Indians player hits a six, they'll also be contributing to a safer planet because we'll plant 6 trees for every six that they, and we're very happy to be planting so many trees because we want them to hit more and more sixes. On a similar vein, last year we had done that. We will educate six un, underserved girls for every six that they hit, which is also a beautiful thought, right? So these are ways that you can actually contribute back in a meaningful manner, something that brings warmth to you. I remember when we had a sort of a meet and greet in Mumbai, and there were these girls who we were working along with, the underserved girls, that whenever Mumbai is hitting a six, we were sponsoring the education for these girls. Some of these girls had come over, and how the Mumbai Indians captain at that time, Rohit Sharma, last year was interacting with them and enjoying and discussing and playing, and it added a whole new meaning to everybody's lives on how even the players are enjoying concepts like this. And therefore, every time when they're hitting a six to win, it's also bringing warmth inside them that they are living these noble thoughts through campaigns like this. So I think it serves many purposes. And if it serves a higher purpose, it gives you more satisfaction.
Brilliant. I think a great way to connect so many of your initiatives and then package it, very well. You also, by the way, mentioned, I believe in an interview that you spoke about the importance of independence in marketing. Could you unpack that a little bit as well for us, please?
Independence in marketing, yeah. So I think the way you have to route any job, my job, your job, a marketer's job, etc., is you have to root it on petrichor, minting ki khushboo, right? So unless you understand what's going on, and unless you put your hand on the pulse of business, unless you start living it, you can't sort of give back to it, right? So that is, you have to be rooted for you to grow. Right? So I think that's the starting point. But beyond a point, right, every function has to add value back to the business in a slightly independent and, if I may use the word, fierce manner, right? So therefore, how do you prepare yourself to add value to business? So first of all, don't always nod your head vertically downwards and upwards, saying, yes, I will do with that. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Because that's where independence starts, right? And at some level, yes, you are there to run programs for the organization. There are global programs, there are national programs. This is what the CEO thinks, or what whosoever thinks, and you drive some of them. But the core job is to bring yourself into that job, right? And to bring that newness into that job. And today, and you talk about mentoring, the concept of, if I may use that word, you don't read that, I have not read that, but if I 360 reverse mentoring, right? They were not only reverse mentoring, for example, the way you're asking questions, I really love the way you bring that natural flair and connect. And the way you're looking into my eyes, I'm feeling like talking more. And therefore, I'm learning that quality from you. But anybody I meet, they are reverse mentoring me at all times. So therefore, as much as you are soaking back, it also gives me that what is it, right, the balance and the humility with which I can also give back, so as long as that independence is a responsible independence, and you're learning and you're soaking and you're improving, and then when you give back with all humility, bloody hell, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for these new ideas. I want to learn from fresh minds. The business wants to gain and leverage from fresh minds. So I think it's not only independent marketing or independence in marketing or independence in anything, but responsible independence in the way you do things. And I'm telling you, as people come and join us, I'm very proud to share with you that DHL is in the top 3 great places to work globally. And being such a large organization with so many people working for us, to be in that bracket means that we are a great place, and we are able to attract some of the best talent around the world to come and work for us. And therefore, this best talent, if they bring the best ideas, it keeps making our great company better. Right. So that is what I mean. And let's zoom down to independence in marketing. I think independence in any function. We want people to come and work and follow processes, but we want them to bring their speciality also into what we are doing, and keep making us a better place. Right. So I hope that the answer what you were looking for. But I'm happy to build on it.
No, I think I love the concept. I believe it reminds me of how a lot of people talk about the T philosophy, right? Where you need to have a lot of skills. At the same time, you need to also bring in something special or specific to the table as well. So I think that's definitely something I feel a lot of people should take away as what we should look at themselves when it comes to training themselves or learning and upskilling themselves. So thanks for sharing that. Um, Going to the last few questions now, Sandeep, we're almost at the last 10-12 minutes. Um, I want to talk about creating like a creative production stack, right? Today, you ask a lot of marketers what they feel. There's a lot of chatter around, hey, it's probably the end of retainers, or we're only going to do project basis, or things are moving in house. AI is making everything into like a one person marketing team, etc., etc. So I wanted to kind of know from you, what is your ideal creative production stack today? Do you in-house? Do you outsource? Is it a hybrid? If you could unpack that.
It's more of a hybrid, you know. It's a healthy balance between agencies and in-house team for creative production. AI obviously is finding its way in more ways than one in what we do. Can't sort of give any less importance to the roles that some of our partners play with us, and it's all often a sort of a struggle between having retainers working with single agencies. But some of the key jobs that we do, we've been on a single AOR, so to say. And some jobs we've been experimenting, ATL for that matter, we've been experimenting a bit within India because a lot of our ATL happens globally. So but it's a mix of both. And unless you have you're working with good agencies, but unless you have good people working internally who are able to soak the mandate and then work with the creative environments outside to create that balance and run it with ownership, I don't think it happens. So I think it's a healthy balance between sort of in-sourcing and outsourcing.
And I think you must have worked with a bunch of agencies over the decades of experience you bring to the table. We are a network who represent boutique studios, agencies, and creative consultants. I'd love to ask a question on behalf of them, that what do you think separates a great agency from a good agency?
Great agency from a good agency. Um, I, I mean, look, when you meet people and when you see the body of the work that they do, you are often able to identify whether they're living the soul of the mandate that they get, or it is just a glitzy looking campaign, anything of any work that you do, right? So therefore, who do you from a, let's say, very cut and dry approach? If who would we value? We would value agencies which have more sort of B2B space experience, but more and more we are needing some bit of C2C, B2C, but more on that side. They're capable of resonating personally with consumers. The differentiating factor for us is that they are good at execution of the initial vision or the strategy they share with us. How does it translate into a final product? To see that connect between the ideas and the final product. And at some level, it is very important for us to see that, you know, the people who are running the agency in different capacities, how involved are they in overseeing the process to ensure that whatever they commit, you know, it's aligned with the final delivery. So I think some of these thoughts we look out for from a great agency. But the real thing is for us to identify that, you know, whether they are able to bring out the soul of the thought. They are able to read our sometimes they're able to read our thoughts better than what we're expressing. I think that also helps, right? And so these are the kind of people who are looking for who take you one level up, right? So these are great agencies.
Awesome. I think this is like super helpful for anybody who's wanting to pitch in and work in this particular domain. We touched upon AI a little bit. A lot of people are saying that there's going to be like a one-person billion-dollar company, a one-person marketing department, a one-person sales department, and so on. What's been your outlook towards AI, and how are you integrating that into, let's say, your marketing function today?
I'm not self-declared expert on AI. But for the little working knowledge that I have, so I'll give you an answer from that standpoint. So, from both AI and automation, I think so. AI is finding its way into doing and jobs that we do. For example, in marketing and making it some of the jobs they spend more hours earlier. It gives us products that they are much faster. There's a lot of chatter around creative writing that AI does for that matter. But anytime you develop a creative piece that AI does for you, the more creative guys will always find ways of adding more value to that creative product. So I think at a base level, it does provide good insights, and sometimes I think it does provide great products from there. So some of those are finding its ways into our organization. We have an internal sort of a certified Gen AI engine which leverages on different AIs to help us do some of our jobs. So I think there it is adding value and taking some of the mundane work and making it easy for us. From an automation standpoint, we run a lot of marketing campaigns for that matter, but today we're running them on platforms such as Marketo. So once I design and put the entire algo in, basis the checkpoints coming out from my CRM tools, Marketo just takes over and it makes the whole process a breeze. And I've seen the way we've transitioned from sort of no automation to trying to look for checkpoints. So now you have great checkpoints in a good CRM tool, and you have a great marketing automation tool. And when both of them talk to each other, our ability to catch the moments of customer interactions and then correspond with them and run meaningful programs, I think has grown manifold. And one has to sort of experience some of these programs, the way I'm talking about, marketing automation, to realize that what is the power of such programs. So that's closer home on AI influencing the work we do in marketing and automation, etc. But then there are others, for example, IoT influencing the real logistics. So, for example, we have IoT-enabled sensors, which today capture the temperature of the shipments throughout the journey. Let's say I'm sending it from here to deep in Africa or somewhere in the US. So there are IoT-enabled sensors which now find their way into our supply chain. There's robotics, which is available in our warehouses because we are handling a lot of material, right? Um, but at the end of the day, we are a people and processes company. That these technologies are only making us more and more efficient. So yeah, so and I'm sure that's the way to go. And different people are guessing different things and discussing differently. But let's see how we leverage it more intelligently, right? So.
Brilliant. I think you spoke about AI, automation, robotics, and so many emerging technologies out there. And this actually is a good segue for the last question I have for you. You've been in this particular space for a long time, and before the whole digital wave even started, and now I think we're entering something totally new. So if somebody's just graduating from college today as a marketer, right? What skills do you think will define the top 1% of marketers going ahead? And maybe if I can ask you in a way where if you were to start back and if you were 21 again, what kind of skills would you double down on which will ensure your success?
So like a बहुत interesting question. I would say I have had some people working with me. There was a person who used to work with me, and that person used to tell me that um, that during the schooling time that person was never good in analytics, and the scores in schools were not good. Analytics means maths. I mean, there are analytics in schools still, but that person was doing the left brain job for me, and there was so much analytics that person was playing with, and really adding value to anything and everything we used to do here. And we still do here for that matter. For me to say that, if you're passing out of college, you need to be very analytical in your mind. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, so these are things which keep adding on to your proficiencies as you go along. As long as you are involved in what you're doing and you're discovering yourself. But if I was to, complicate the matter and give you a menu of skills from the new skills that, so they will let me sort of rattle out a few. So you have to have data analytics proficiency. You have to be aware about AI and automation expertise. You have to be digital marketing savvy. You have to have a customer centric mindset. You have to be adaptable, very agile, in terms of taking decisions. And somewhere I think you have to have the ability to read into the strategic vision of the organization for being a good marketer, content creation, a whole lot of these things. But underpinning all this, if you have an inquisitive, adaptive, learning mind, and I'll do whatever it takes, I'll upgrade my skills. I think it works well. But I think you're smart enough, if you want to be a marketer, to know the basics needed for being a marketer. Nothing sort of trumps an active mind, good communication skills. And if you read the subject well, it's a great starting point. And the other things then keep adding on as you go along, because you get ample opportunities in good organizations, especially to experiment with technologies, to experiment with real life business cases. And to be quite honest, if I may say this, I think that more and more organizations today are becoming wherein they celebrate glorious failures and publish mediocre successes. And if you're able to find your place in an organization like that where they celebrate glorious failures because they really work like a great learning ground, I think you found your calling, right? So it all adds up.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for all these insights. I love your style of giving a broad, perspective first, then going into the specific micros, which is very tactical, and then again zooming out. So, thank you so much for, kind of, I think, giving me so many insights. I feel I've almost gained 5 more years of experience after talking to you in marketing. So thanks a ton for that, and I hope you had a good time.
I had a very engaging time, and as I was telling you earlier, I hope you felt that I was as engaged in this process of chatting with you as I was claiming to be engaged in every facet of my life. I had a terrific time. Thank you for the opportunity.
Superb. Thank you so much, Sandeep. And for everybody who stuck along so far, thanks again once to you as well for tuning in. If you'd like to have another marketing leader like Sandeep on board, do like, share, and subscribe. An episode will come out very, very soon.